Chapter 8. Fellow Officer in Trouble. Rocky's cell phone interrupted us. This time it was the WC. He instructed us to report to the station now. Several minutes later we arrived at the station. We were ushered up a set of marble stairs to the little chief's office, a fond term for our ACOP, Assistant Chief of Police, Juan Rolando. The little chief was a big Hispanic man in his early 50s. ACOP Rolando worked out regularly, and it showed. His hair was jet black, combed back and full. He had a thick black mustache. His starch blue uniform was decorated with salad. ACOP Rolando was jovial and willing to listen. He often gave the impression that he was more politician than cop. Rolando liked people. He loved his job. It showed. There was a scowl on his face tonight. He looked menacing. "Close the door and sit down." He looked like he was ready to cry. "I need help. I don't know who to turn to. I'm turning to people within the ranks who I know I can trust." He ran his hand through his jet black hair. I was focusing on the picture on the wall behind the desk where ACOP Rolando sat. It was the APD Little League team that Rolando helped coach to a championship last year, the Southern California Cubs. I watched a couple of innings of a few of those games. Rolando put his heart not in winning, but in teaching the kids teamwork, spirit, the meaning of winning gracefully and losing with class. He said, "Some time ago we took some gang punks off the street who were dealing drugs and guns, heavy hitters, real heavy, dirty and ugly players. You may remember the name? Hernandez. We busted 3 of them, dead bang. 2 of them copped the plea, but the old man was unshakable. His trial is scheduled to start in 2 days. He has 2 smart-mouthed kids who are as vicious as they come. When the trio was busted, they swore that APD would feel the revenge they would extract. I remember reading several articles in the paper right after their father was busted," I said. "The assholes were flashing gang signs and swore up and down and sideways that they'd get even. If I remember correctly, both brothers were interviewed at car shows in Pomona. They have several classic cars, probably all earned dirty, dealing. They're proud of their cars. They're always looking to add to their collection. It's a clever way of washing their dirty money. Unfortunately," ACOP continued, "we can't get the feds to go after them for tax evasion. But right now, none of that shit helps. These guys are sick puppies. The entire family's fucked up. More often than not, they're coked out." Rocky spoke up. "What's the problem?" Rolando folded his hands across his chest. "I was one of the arresting detectives, and I was the cop who cuffed the old man. The punk wants to make good on his promise. He's giving it his best shot." Rolando squeezed his lower lip. "The old man is due in court the day after tomorrow. I received this message earlier today." Rolando reached for his phone. He hit the play button. The message began to play. "I don't talk with scum. In your case, I'll make an exception, pig. We got your grandkid, little Roberto. The kid is cute, really cute. One of the guys who's babysitting him likes cute kids. Especially young, cute kids. The younger, the better. Guess what, pig? You either tell the judge that you forgot to give the old man his Miranda, or we lock the fag and Roberto alone in a room for a couple of hours. If you have questions, pig, call 1-800-ROBERTO. The Mexican on the other end of the phone with a Spanish accent laughed. It was a sick laugh, and a very demented, menacing laugh. Jesus Christ, I thought, how ballsy can you get? "Shit, sir," Rocky said. "Whatever we can do, you know we'll do it." "I don't know what you can do," Rolando said. "Do we know where these 2 are?" Rocky asked. Rolando was visibly shaken and said, "We've got them under surveillance. We know Roberto isn't in their house. We know the two punks know where Roberto is being held, but we'll never get them to give him up." "You might not be able to get them to give up an address, but I can," I said. "You mean we can," Rocky added instantly. "I can't ask you to do that. It can cost you both your career and criminal prosecution." "Any port in a storm," Rocky said. "And right now it's pouring. How much time do we have?" "About 18 hours, give or take," Rolando sighed. "I got a team on the brothers. There's a car show going on near Dodger Stadium. It's the first of its kind. It's a 24-hour show that includes lowriders. The cars and people come and go all night long. The Hernandez brothers have been there for about an hour." Rocky and I huddled in the parking lot. This was unfathomable. These guys were desperate and were also into drugs, so anything was possible. We knew they had grabbed Roberto. What we didn't know was where they were keeping him, and if they really had a fag child molester babysitting him. I was first to say it. "I'll do whatever it takes to bring Roberto home safely. I don't give a shit what I have to do. These guys are motherfuckers to the extreme." "You'll get no argument from me," Rocky said as he lit a cigarette. "We got free rein to do whatever it takes. Let's grab a seriously unmarked car and get to work. Clock's ticking." Anything in our police lot was out of the question. We needed something concourse, something flashy, something worth big bucks. I called in a favor. The car I commandeered was a borrowed black 1964 Impala Super Sport, complete with hydraulics. Both Rocky and I could pass for at least part Hispanic in the dark, and the lowrider would get us exactly where I planned to go. I didn't know precisely where I was going, but in the few minutes it would take to drive from APD to Dodger Stadium, not far from the LAPD Academy, we'd come up with something. This was serious shit, and I did my best thinking either on the pot or under pressure. "Where the fuck did you get that?" Rocky asked, more than a bit surprised. "What difference does it make? It may be our ticket to the brothers. Smoke another cigarette. I'm going upstairs and borrow a cold license plate from the gang unit, one that won't come back to the PD. In the meantime, take a dime out of your pocket and unscrew the rear plate on the SS. These punk-ass motherfuckers have a date with Starsky and Hutch." Rocky put his cigarette between his lips and saluted me. "Yes, sir." I like classic cars, particularly the 1950 and early 60 Corvettes. I also like the 1956 and 1957 Thunderbird, the ones with the portable hardtop, like the colonial white 1956 Suzanne Summers drove in American Graffiti. Unfortunately, on a cop's salary, owning a classic was a dream. However, after tonight, I might not even have a job. I drove the 1964 Impala Supersport, probably the closest I'd ever come to getting behind the wheel of one of these beauties again, as carefully as I'd hold a newborn infant. The damn car was worth 70 to 100 grand, depending on the market, and it was hot to trot for it. Under the hood was a chromed-out 350 big block. Even the hoses were chromed and braided. On the underside of the hood was a mural of a half-naked, gorgeous Mexican girl tossing back a shot of tequila, laughing at 3 Mexican cowboys who obviously wanted her. Her breasts were bigger than the engine. The mural was masterfully painted and clear-coated. The interior of the Black Beauty was black leather. The seats were soft and luxurious. The dash had an inboard television, Bluetooth, a backup camera, and a horn button separate from the driver's horn that, when pushed, played Bad Boys in Spanish. Halfway down the driver's seat, which would be between the legs of whoever was driving the black Supersport, was a concealed button that looked very much like it was part of the upholstery, which it actually was. In this case, if you pushed that button, a compartment opened, and within reach of the driver's outstretched hand was a pearl-handled .357. "Where the fuck did you get this car?" Rocky asked, looking at me in amazement. I drove south on the 5 freeway and said, "We have our ways, we have our ways." "If you so much as scratch this baby, you'll be paying for it until you make captain," Rocky said. I doubt either one of us will see that day. "What's the plan, Stan?" Rocky asked. I thought before I replied, then bit my lower lip. "For now, all we need to do is make contact with the Hernandez brothers. Once we get to them, we'll find out where Roberto is. I frickin' guarantee it." Rocky didn't respond. My look was resolute. I loved my career and had high hopes of climbing the APD ladder. But that was history. The whole Hernandez family was fucked up beyond repair and needed to be taught a lesson. You fuck with a bull, and he sticks his horns up your ass until they come out your mouth. These assholes had fucked with the APD bulls. Now it was our turn to stampede. I signaled and was very careful to check my mirrors, all 3 of them, to look over my shoulder, to recheck my mirrors, and to slide over one lane at a time until I reached the exit lane. "Bro, it's almost showtime," I said. Rocky reached into his shirt pocket for a pack of smokes. "Not in this car, partner. Didn't you see the no smoking sign?" Rocky laughed. "I get really irritated when I can't smoke. Guess I'll have to take it out on a couple of Mexicans." I'd never seen so many cars and motorcycles in my life. The show was a fundraiser to benefit the legalized marijuana camp in the sunny state of California. Being law enforcement, I had mixed emotions about making the herb legal. If I had to vote tomorrow, I'd vote against legalizing it. Cars were parked not only in the massive Dodger Stadium parking lot, but also on the side streets that led to the Los Angeles Police Department Academy and the street that led to Elysian Park. Every place I looked were classic automobiles. The entry fee was by vehicle. The charge was $20. I pulled the bill out of my pocket, asked for a receipt, then was instructed to go to aisle 27A, where the Chevys were parked. The parking lot, or display area, was amply lighted, making the black Supersport look like a tiger tooth in the night. I drove slowly, taking the millions of dollars of metal, chrome, and paint. I thought, it must be nice. Rocky said, "If you don't hurry up and find a damn parking space, I'm going to have a nicotine attack." "Fuck the cigarette. Give the surveillance team a call. See where these wetbacks are." Cheech and Chong were where they should have been, in the section with the lowriders. In all fairness, they accompanied 2 absolutely gorgeous cars. The 1957 Chevy Impala was red with red and white interior. Under the hood was a custom .350 Chevy small block. The paint glowed. The interior of the Chevy was impeccable. The engine was chromed out. The rear boasted a custom Continental kit with a nude lady on the back who had tits the size of a fucking freight train. What the hell was with these Hispanics and their huge-breasted bitches? Of course, Cheech and Chong converted the American-made Chevy to a low-rider. The other vehicle was a black Chevy 4-door gangster car with suicide doors. It was a 1930-something. It had a visor over the front windshield, running boards, and machine guns mounted inside the car in the back. Of course, the big busted bitch was painted on the front door. I was afraid to look at the passenger side of the Chevy. Rocky and I rolled up in our Impala Supersport, not only to annoy the brothers, but we also wanted to get their attention. When I leaned on the horn, everyone within earshot gave us a look. Contrary to what you see on television and on the big screen, cops are fraternal. Sure, we may jerk each other around when something out of the ordinary occurs. We may get hammered and fight with one another when we're boozed up. But if someone outside of the fraternity fucks with us, the entire brotherhood will come down on you like rain clouds pissing bricks and mortar. Such was the case here. A. Rolando let those who needed to know, those who might be able to help with personnel and or equipment, that an outsider had fucked big time with one of our own. Like a domino effect, the word got out. We had every piece of equipment, intelligence, staff, power available to us. We literally had a green light to do whatever we must to accomplish our mission. Any mess would be swept up after the fact. It was like finding and taking out Osama bin Laden. Wiggly Hernandez, the slightly shorter of the Hernandez punks, was probably so nicknamed because he couldn't sit still, or stand still. Probably from all the coke, the asshole had to bounce around in his fucked up body. His brother went by the moniker Stiff, probably because he couldn't get it up. Rocky and I found a parking space a couple of spots down from the punks we were after. We parked, left the car windows down, threw open the doors and strolled around the vehicles in our proximity, making our way to Stiff and Wiggly. Rocky and I were admiring the beautiful Chevy. "Pretty baby, homie, ain't she?" "Gorgeous," I agreed. "Bro, gorgeous." Within 30 seconds, Stiff and Wiggly were giving us the life story of their vehicles. Then Wiggly said, "I see the Super Sport around before, bro." It was more of a statement than a question. "I just bought it. Guy got himself in a bind, a big bind, bro. He needed cash in a hurry. And the pawn shop wouldn't give him what he needed. I had the cash. He saw the green, put the ink to the pink, and bro, the car is low." "You interested in turning her over to make some quick green?" Wiggly asked. I responded, "Anything's doable, bro. What did you have in mind?" Wiggly introduced us all around. "I have to check her out all over. It might take a while. If she looks good up close as she did coming in, bro, we might be able to cut us some deal." I nodded and said, "When you're ready to look her over, give me a holler. I'll move her away from traffic so we can talk in private. We're going to check this shit out while you're getting ready." I drove the car to a fenced area away from traffic, cars, and people. We needed to be fairly isolated to pull off part 2 of my scenario. We waited. The longer we waited, the more pissed off I grew playing and replaying the tape Assistant Chief Rolando had played for us in his office. There was no way this scum, and all with whom he were associated, deserved anything but pure hell. They were about to get it. In my short career, I'd observed a lot of shit. I'd witnessed badly beaten kids, sexually abused kids, husbands beating wives, wives beating husbands, families tortured during home invasion robberies, people mangled in drunken driving accidents. But this took the trophy, uncontested. Threatening a youngster in this manner was unconscionable, unforgivable. In this case, I was going to be the jury, the judge, and the executioner, if necessary. I programmed myself to do whatever had to be done to get Roberto back. Rocky had called LAPD. They had arrived in style. 2 plainclothes officers drove up in a dark-colored bakery truck with blacked-out windows. They parked behind the Impala. The second truck was a television broadcast truck that read, "Fusion United Cable Kingdom Unlimited," across its body. It took me all of 30 seconds to figure out the acronym. The truck side windows were totally blacked out. The Ford truck parked next to the target. 2 plainclothes Hispanic officers exited the vehicle. The field was set. Now we were just waiting for the players to arrive. It didn't take long. When I was in the academy, I swore to myself that you would never catch me doing anything illegal or fundamentally inappropriate on the street. Reminiscing about the past. I broke that ethic on my first day on the street. My first field training officer and I were assigned a call of a male and female engaged in a loud argument. They were in a white pickup truck that was parked across the street from a park. It was spring. It was sunny and clear. I was the brand new booty on the block. My FTO's instructions were, "You're my shadow. Where I go, you go. If I don't tell you to speak, shut the fuck up." Those were his exact words. We arrived on the scene, found the truck, and contacted the husband and wife, who were inside the truck screaming at each other. In Spanish. Neither my FTO nor I speak much Spanish. I had 3 years of Spanish in school, but that's as worthless as a castrated horse. We called for a Spanish-speaking officer. On scene arrived a young, attractive Hispanic officer, Officer Pena. My FTO cut me slack. He told me to take the male half of the 415 disturbance call to the west curb and do the best I could to find out what the hell was going on. He and Officer Firm Tits and Tight Ass escorted the female to the east curb to investigate. I asked Asshole very politely what was going on. He did speak English, not a hell of a lot, but enough to get by. "Dinero," he said. That's a universal word. I knew dinero meant money. "What about money?" I asked. "She wants money I don't have. She gets pissed and starts arguing." "I'm going to pat you down for officer safety." I made a gesture with my hands. He held up his hands, so I assumed he understood. The guy was clean. "Do you have licencia?" "Si," he replied. How the fuck you could get a license in this damn state without speaking the language was beyond me. "Let me see it, please." He showed it to me. I looked it over. I was trying to decide whether or not my FTO would want me to run the guy for warrants when I observed Pena and my FTO walking across the street. The female had returned to the truck. Pena said something to the guy that I couldn't understand. She spoke faster than a 10-round magazine being emptied at a target in 3.5 seconds. My FTO asked, "Did you get a license?" I handed him what I thought was the guy's license. "Did you graduate from the academy or the acting school? This is a fucking Cal ID card." I could feel the heat in my face. I knew I was red. Pena tried to hide her laugh. She failed miserably. My FTO ran the asshole for warrants. He was as clean as new underwear. He handed the ID card to Pena, who said something to the guy in Spanish, then handed him his ID card. She motioned for him to hit the road. She tucked the ID card in his right pants pocket. As he walked south, he intentionally shouldered me. This guy had to be taught a lesson. But Pena was present. I was certain my FTO wouldn't object if I used a bit of muscle, but I didn't know how this female cop would react. My left hand made the decision for me. Up it came in one sweet, sweeping, rapid arc. I grabbed his belt and turned him toward me, none too gently. Behind him was a metal fence. I slammed him against it, jamming my forearm under his neck. The guy was gagging. "You motherfucking Mexican cocksucker! If you ever do that to any police officer again!" I felt my FTO's arm on my right shoulder. He leaned over and whispered in my ear, "Do what you need to do, but there are people across the street in the park watching you. Keep yelling, 'Sir, please cooperate.'" I leaned forward, putting more pressure on his neck. "Sir, please cooperate. Sir, please cooperate. Me, sorry. "You pathetic prick." I let go of his neck. I thought he was going to fall to the curb. "Get the fuck out of here!" He walked by me quickly. Not fast enough. My right foot had a mind of its own. It came up swiftly, kicking Asshole square in the ass. Pena looked at my FTO, at me, and at Pathetic walking down the sidewalk. Pena walked to her unit, got in, and drove off. I turned to my FTO. "Who do I give my badge to?" "The fuck you talking about?" I put my hands on him. "And he had it coming. If you didn't do what you did, I'd be ripping that badge off of you. Some of these punks out here need special handling. He's one of them. That's the first decent thing I've observed you do out here. Get in the car, we'll do some more police work. And by the way, if I let you have lunch today, you're buying. So much for reminiscing. The brothers Hernandez came walking around the corner. Both carried huge smiles as if they didn't know something we didn't. I had a flash for these clowns. They didn't know shit. The smaller of the Hernandez brothers approached me. The other dipshit approached Rocky. Slowly I guided Hernandez toward the back of the SS. Rocky told the other brother he wanted to show him the engine, an engine compartment. We had found a small area that was secluded, dark enough, we hoped, to conceal what we were about to enact. The trunk's entrance was keyless. I pushed a button and the trunk opened. Every piece of hydraulics was chromed to the max. The glare was blinding. This car had to be worth twice my annual salary and then some. I probably couldn't afford the insurance. Hernandez nodded. He was grinning broadly. You like? Sí, señor. I like mucho. Yeah, you little prick, I thought. In a few minutes I'm going to give you something you're not going to like. Let's check out under the hood. Hernandez and I walked around the passenger side of the Chevy, and on cue, Rocky and the other brother walked around the driver's side of the car. Under the hood of the car, Hernandez was so engrossed in the restoration that he never heard or saw LAPD's finest in action. The van's rear doors opened quickly, smoothly, quietly. 3 officers from LAPD's Special Tactics units earned their pay. They were on the wetbacks like the Houston Astros were on trash cans in their dugout. No doubt they were going to accomplish their mission. I have no idea what was on the towel they threw over Hernandez's face. I do know he went down like the sack of shit that he is. And just like a magician making the rabbit disappear, the Mexican was out of sight. At the back of the car, the same operation was in full swing. 3 LAPD undercover coppers swung open the van door. As the asshole was savoring the hydraulics in the trunk, they toweled him and dragged him into the van. Chapter 9. Breaking the Kidnappers. Phase Uno was accomplished without incident. Every once in a while I would screw around with the horses and wager on a long shot. I never won on any of those long shots. Every once in a while I would even put a couple of bucks on a penny stock. One of those stocks tripled in value overnight. I made a few grand, but unfortunately didn't get out in time to reap the profits. The company went under, and so did my money. This was the longest shot of my life. I hoped like hell it was going to pay big dividends. Hernandez woke up. He was seated on the wooden bench seat against the truck's wall. "Stand up, punk," I said, looking into his glazed eyes. He looked at me, and in perfect English he asked, "Who the fuck are you?" "I'm your worst nightmare, puke pot!" I punched him so hard in the gut my right hand stung. He doubled over. His hands were cuffed behind his back. I watched him grimace in pain. I loved it so much I hit him again. It was about 3 minutes before he could speak. "You're making a big mistake, my friend. You're fucking with the wrong man," he managed to say, gagging and coughing. "Let's understand something. You're not a man. You're a piece of shit. A piece of Mexican shit. Let's understand something else. I want to know where Roberto is. I'm not going to stop pounding your wet back body until you tell me." Very slowly and very deliberately I asked, "Where is Roberto?" Hernandez sat down. He looked up and laughed at me. I pulled him up by his shirt. "You forgot to ask, may I sit down? I need him in the balls. Do wetbacks have balls, puke bucket? I looked at Hernandez. I smiled. Again, punk. Where is little Roberto? I could see the tears in his eyes as he fell to the floor. He spit blood. He coughed, choked. He finally passed out. The van had a bathroom. I found a small plastic bucket. I walked to the bathroom, filled it with cold water, walked back to where Hernandez lay, semi-conscious. I threw cold water in Hernandez's face. He looked up. He was dazed, confused. Where's Roberto? Eat shit, pig, he managed to say. I don't like your mama's cooking, asshole. Where's Roberto? Hernandez blacked out. I felt the van move. I didn't know where we were headed. I didn't care. LAPD knew what they were doing. They understood what the operation was all about. They were informed a child's life was at stake. It was one of their own. I had no concern with LAPD. I had a concern with breaking Hernandez. I had taken a couple of classes in interrogation technique. These classes dealt with things psychological, like chair placement in the interrogation room, voice control, eye contact, fear factor, etc. Probably great if you had time on your side. We didn't. We had half a day plus to break this asshole. He was a tough customer. The toughest. The asshole was a professional criminal, but I, too, was a professional. Under normal circumstances, we wouldn't stand a chance. In the first place, before we started the questioning, he would demand an attorney. That would short-circuit the game before the first pitch was thrown. When we did get to questioning him, his attorney would object to the world. Assholes like Hernandez didn't have a public defender. They had the money to hire the real deal. We'd had 2 strikes on us before we came to bat. Unfortunately for the wetback, he had no such luxury. All the rules were out the window. This game was going to end one of 2 ways, and only one of 2 ways. Either Numbnuts was going to tell us where Roberta was being held, or Numbnuts was going to die. This game was not going into extra innings. While Hernandez was taking a nap, I phoned Rocky on my cell. I wanted to know how things were going with him and the other Hernandez brother. I also wanted to run an idea past him. I told Rocky, his vocabulary is limited to asshole. His favorite phrase is, fuck you, pig. I've about had it with him. We could trade suspects, Rocky offered. I shook my head and said, I'm having too much fun with this asshole. Then I ran my plan by him. You're crazy, Rocky replied. Do you have any better ideas? How are we going to get all this stuff together with the time we have left? I said, I'm on it like the Broncos on Washington. Rocky bet a couple guys at the station that the Broncos would handle Washington, even without the spread. The bounty in each case was a carton of cigarettes. Maybe God was trying to tell Rocky to quit smoking. I said, I'm calling the office. We're going to set this thing in motion. Beats the shit out of standing here with my thumb up my ass, especially if we can't break the brothers Hernandez. My plan was reckless, hastily put together. Probably wouldn't work. Since we were going to get fired, possibly go to jail for what we had done, didn't matter. I really was prepared to kill for Rolando and Roberto. It fascinated me how an individual can be law-abiding his entire life, and then a situation presents itself, and everything changes. This was the case. I reminded myself, I keep the peace. Nothing mattered anymore. I was trying to justify what I was doing and what I was about to do. I didn't need justification. I knew better than to play God. Here I was, Judge, jury, maybe even the executioner. I looked at my watch, then quickly got on my cell. I made several calls in succession. It's amazing what the right people will do for you on the spur of the moment, if you've treated them right in the past. Everyone called offered me not only what I needed, but each also offered me 110% support. Maybe this wasn't such a damn long shot after all. In less than 45 minutes, little Roberto's rescue crew was in position. Flying overhead was our air support, SAS-1, Sheriff's Air Support. The chopper was deliberately flying low as requested. The noise was annoying and distracting, as requested. The spotter sheriff in the chopper was on his loudspeaker. It was difficult to understand what he was saying. Didn't matter. That, too, was designed to be a distraction. City Road Department had a crew on the ground. Their job was to block the street for us. They were on point. City Lighting was asked to dim the streetlights to a point of near blackout. They had done their job. The trailer truck was compliments of Victory Trucking out of Vernon. The truck and trailer was a training rig. It took Rocky only a few minutes to find and not grind the gears. Everything else needed was in place, supplied by our city friends. It appeared we had a lot of friends, more than we realized. Then again, the brothers Hernandez had been a pain in the ass to the majority of the good citizens of Amity and surrounding cities. Most of the population of Amity wouldn't piss on the Hernandez boys if they were on fire, so they were only too glad to help. We had 13 hours left to break the older Hernandez brother, who was convinced he was bulletproof. Maybe he was, but was his brother? Chapter 10. Flashback. My mind flashed back to a blind date Paula arranged for me. It all started when I was driving us back to the barn to go EOW a week ago. Rocky's cell phone rang, playing the beginning of Bad Boys. From his conversation, it was Paula. From further conversation, she had made a dinner reservation at the Olive Garden. I liked the Olive Garden, and I loved WAP food, but it would be a cold day in hell before I'd go on another blind date, even when the blind date was cute. It blew up in the end. I love you, babe. See you in a couple hours or so, depending on traffic. Sure, he'll join us. He'll like Mac. Rocky hung up. Who the hell is Mac? I asked. Calm down, dude. Why do you have to think the worst of every situation? Because I'm a cop and I'm trained to think of the negative so I can deal with any situation, I responded. Relax. Mac is the chippy who pulled Paula over on the 14 2 weeks ago, Rocky said. What for? Don't her plates come back to APD? Yeah, but I guess Mac stopped her before the plates came back. What was she doing? 87 and 65. I smiled. You've got to be kidding me. Paula usually doesn't drive like that. Rocky nodded. I know. She wasn't paying attention since she was talking on her cell phone. To you? Who else? Did he write her? No. When Mac found out her hubby's a cop, Mac cut her slack. She was lucky, Rocky said. So this is payback? Paula's buying Mac dinner? I asked. Rocky nodded. He insisted I join them. I said, Why not? I'll just run home, change and shower, and meet you guys at the Olive Garden. I checked my watch. 7:15 work? The Rock nodded. Affirmative. I shaved, showered, threw on a navy blue suit over a white pullover shirt, a pair of black loafers, grabbed my Glock, and was on my way. The only thing I forgot to do was pee. By the time I reached the Olive Garden parking lot, I thought I was going to piss myself. The lot wasn't quite full, lucky for me. I parked, rushed into the lobby, and started straight for the men's room. And then I saw her. Actually, I saw her in tight brown slacks and the revealing panty lines. I stared. I couldn't help it. I had a panty fetish. When all else fails, I'd wrap a pair of nylon panties around Peter and have sex with my right hand. Sometimes for novelty, I'd use my left hand. A few of my girlfriends knew about my fetish and donated to my cause. The agreement was, as long as I used her panties, I could go to town. I kept staring. Then I noticed the blonde hair. She was about 5'9", with low heels. She had on a white blouse, but I could only see her from the rear. I had no idea what her headlights looked like. Her ass was tighter than the handcuffs I'd slap on a suspect who pissed me off. I envied her husband, or the guy she was with. I was hard. Whether it was from having to piss, or it was that tight ass and those panty lines, or maybe it was a combination of both. Unfortunately, it didn't matter. I made a beeline for the bathroom. I walked out of the bathroom feeling relief. I scanned the dining area, sighting Rocky, and walked to the table. As I got closer, I observed blonde hair, then brown slacks and panty lines. What the hell was she doing at the table? Rocky jumped up when he saw me. "Tony! Meet Mackenzie! Mackenzie, meet Tony." I'm rarely at a loss for words, but momentarily I was speechless. I sat down next to Mackenzie. I said, smiling, "A pleasure to meet you, Mackenzie." I took her hand. It was warm. She smiled a provoking smile. Her blue eyes said she knew something I didn't. She probably knew a lot that I didn't. She said, "My friends call me Mac. Please call me Mac." I picked up the water glass, looked across the table at Rocky and Paula, then raised the glass. "To friends," I said. I gave Paula a warm smile. We tapped glasses. "To good friends," Mac offered. I thought there was a challenge in that toast. "I hear you're a highway patrol officer." "AAA with a gun," Mac offered. I looked at Rocky. I was poker-faced. I caught Mac's blue eyes as I smiled. "What's AAA with a gun?" I asked. "Yeah, right," Mac countered. "And what's a Miranda warning?" She was attractive. She was gorgeous, stunning. Her medium-length blonde hair accentuated her blue eyes. Those eyes were warm. Her white blouse was tight against her breasts, very tight. I couldn't help looking. A long look. Mac noticed that I noticed, then said, "You can get a ticket for moving too slow." I was embarrassed, but at the same time I wanted Mac to know I was interested. I looked over at Paula. "Paula, I hear Mac cut you some slack. Or is that part of the charade also?" Paula smiled. "Mac gave me professional courtesy." Mac reached below the table with her right hand and patted the top of my knee. "Only special people get professional courtesy." She was looking at Paula when she said that, but I was certain it was meant for me. The waitress interrupted. "Good evening, folks. I'm Monica. I'll be your server tonight. Can I get you something from the bar?" Paula and Rocky both ordered a beer. "Mac, professional courtesy says I'll buy you a drink," I said. "What would you like?" "I don't drink. I'll have coffee. Black," she said to Monica. "Give me a shot of Seagram's, please," I said. When Monica walked away from the table, I said to Mac, "You're off duty. You're allowed to drink. That is, unless you're not 21 yet." "Cute. I'm keeping score. A couple more like that and you might get a get-into-jail-free card." "As long as you handcuff me first," I said. "How long have you been AAA with a gun?" "Highway patrol." "It's going on 5 years," Mac replied. "Why join the CHP?" I asked. "I like the fit of the uniform." Those blue eyes sparkled. Her lips parted. She ran her tongue across her lips and she smiled, then said, I had a tough time growing up and I got into some trouble. I tried LAPD and the sheriffs, but they wouldn't overlook some issues I had. The CHP cut me a break. We'll talk. I hope. I'm sure we will, I corrected myself. I hope we will. How long have you been with APD? Mac asked. Just for a few years. I was told I'd either love it or hate it. I can't get enough of it. It's like an addiction. Does your not drinking have anything to do with not being able to go with LAPD or sheriffs? My drinking got me into enough trouble that my background became an issue. Mac took a breath just as our drinks arrived. I couldn't control my drinking. I'm a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous. Wow, I said, not meaning for the words to come out. Does our drinking bother you? Not in the least. So relax and do your thing. I raised my shot glass. Paula and Rocky hoisted their beer. Mac held up her coffee cup. To the now, she toasted. To the here and now with new friends. And as she lifted her coffee cup, Mac added, Yesterday's a canceled check, tomorrow's a promissory note, and today is a gift. That's why they call it the present. Nearly 2 hours later, I walked Mac to her car. Nice ride. He's a 1996 Corvette Grand Sport, she said, proudly. The Grand Sport was a blue convertible with black rims and red hash marks on the front fender. He didn't come cheap. Then again, CHP made more money than your average city police department. He's handsome, I said. Now I know why you're AAA with a gun. A car like that is a radar magnet. I've only been pulled over twice since I was sworn in. Try to play by the rules. The CHP gave me a gift. They hired me. What I give to the team and the community is my gift to them. Like karma. Like karma, Max said as she smiled broadly. She followed that with, Follow me home? Do you need protection? She didn't bat an eyebrow. No, but if you're lucky, you might. I nodded and started to walk toward my car, which was a few spaces away. I turned to check the license plate on the vet. It was a personalized plate. DCZDMND. I followed Mac while trying to decode her personalized plate. I was usually good at that. In this case, I couldn't crack the code. We sat in Mac's tastefully decorated living room on the light tan L-shaped couch. She pushed a button, the fireplace lit up, adding atmosphere to the evening and to the mood. I was comfortable in her company on Mac's turf, which was unusual for me. Probably unusual for any cop. What does the plate on your Corvette say? I asked. Diseased mind. I laughed. That's funny. Is it accurate? Stick around, judge for yourself. Mac looked very serious for a second as she said, There were two of me. The me who wants to do well and love and be happy and free, and then there's the me who wants more and more and more. Me with a hole in the gut that no amount of more can fill up. That's what AA is really about. It's not about drinking. We know how to drink. Hell, real alcoholics have PhDs in drinking. We don't know how to live. AA is about living. It's about being happy, joyous, and free. It's about balance. She stopped suddenly. Sorry about that. Sometimes I talk too much. Max smiled. I like you. I like you too. Without being too nosy, what did you do to keep you out of LAPD and the sheriff? Which time? You gotta be kidding, I said. With all that baggage, it's amazing the CHP hired you. Hell, a couple of speeding tickets or a low FICO score is enough to get you DQ'd from most departments. Mac nodded. I had some leverage. I had some contacts. I had God on my side. So, What did you do to keep you out of other BDs? I'll give you one example, and then I want my lawyer, Mac said. Go for it. I slapped a cop. You what? I said, astonished. I had a few drinks. My boyfriend and I got into it. I got pulled over. One word led to another. I slapped the cop. Obviously, you were arrested. It was a question. Mac nodded. I could see the seriousness in those blue eyes and on her face. It was obvious Mac was replaying the incident. I was arrested, taken in handcuffs in a unit to the station. Phone call was made. A phone call? I knew the right people. So you used your contacts to extricate you from a situation of your own making? I teased. I want my attorney, smart guy. Mac leaned closer. I kissed her softly, and then I pulled back and looked into those beautiful, soft blue eyes. I kissed her again, longer, more passionately. She didn't resist, at least not for several seconds. Too much heat here, she said. Her left arm was on my shoulder. Tony, I like what I'm feeling a lot, but let's pull back a bit. I understood. I like it too. I like it a lot. When would you like to go out again? I have tickets Thursday night for the Big Top Circus at the Performing Arts Theater in the Valley. How about it? Without hesitation, she replied, I'd love it. Let me see if I can get someone to change shifts with me. I'll let you know. Where are you a cop? And why APD? Mac asked. I did 2 tours in Afghanistan. I guess I didn't see enough shit. I needed to see more. I love being a cop. It's the system that's screwed up. I've literally seen bad guys bond out before we finish the paperwork. There are more guns on the street than ever. Get caught with a gun, and if you don't have a prior, it's a misdemeanor. Get caught with a nightstick in your car, if you don't have a badge, it's a felony. More drugs come across the border daily than illegal fruit. We have a death penalty, but we don't use it, even though the people want it. I find all this challenging. Did you ever kill anyone in Afghanistan? Mac asked. 5 kills. 2 hand-to-hand. I took a breath. The first one was the hardest, and it got easier after that. Mac nodded. She leaned into me, pushed me down on the couch, and kissed me hard, with half her body on top of me. When she broke the kiss, she said, That's so you don't forget me. I looked directly into those captivating blues. Trust me, Mac, I won't forget you. I can't, you're almost as exciting as a pursuit. She looked down at my crotch. I didn't have to piss. She smiled and then said, Almost? The accent was on almost. She continued to look at my crotch. We'll let the evidence speak for itself. She looked me in the eye and said, Get out of here before I rape you. Rocky was merciless with me in the unit about my feelings for Mac. I spent almost as much time talking on my cell with Mac as Rocky did with Paula. The only thing I was missing was Mac's panties. I was absolutely positive there would be little need for them. How many times have you and Mac been out now? I didn't have to count. 4, not counting our initial dinner date with you and Paula. As a matter of fact, Mac is an Angels fan, and as you well know, I am a devoted Dodger fan. I happen to have 4 tickets, box seats, to the Freeway Series next weekend. Interested? Are you serious? Rocky yelled. Which night is it? Friday, Saturday, or Sunday? It's Friday night at Dodger Stadium. Love to go, partner. Thank you. I'll even drive. We were sitting at a table in a dark corner of Applebee's. Mac was eating a chicken salad and sipping hot black coffee. I was eating Caesar salad and drinking coffee. I wanted a shot of Seagram's, but since Mac didn't drink, I felt uncomfortable drinking in front of her, However, I did feel comfortable sharing my panty fetish with her. Figure that one out. So, how many runs do you think the Dodgers will beat the Angels by? I asked. I thought Mac was going to choke on her coffee. She replied, The Angels will take the first and third games. They'll feel sorry for the Dodgers. They'll allow them to win the middle game. Okay. Name the wager, I said to Mac. Mac was wearing a snug-fitting pair of blue jeans and a tank top. She looked beyond good. We did a lot of verbal sparring, but had yet to reach the physical part of the relationship, only. Or so I thought, because of circumstances. Our shifts for the present time were not conducive to building this relationship. We talked almost every chance we got, but Mac worked when I was sleeping. I was sleeping when Mac was at work. As far as I knew, Mac wasn't dating anyone else. I sure the hell wasn't interested in dating anyone else. Mac rubbed her chin. Here's my suggestion, wise guy, for a wager. If the Angels win Game 1 of the Freeway Series, I handcuff you, blindfold you, and game on. If, on the other hand, the Dodgers win Game 1, I'll take my panties off in the car on the way home, and they're yours, since you were man enough to let me in on that particular fetish. Although I thought you would prefer to get in them rather than play with them. Mac paused. Whatever gets your baton rock hard, I guess. My face must have been red. My dick was hard. I tried to hide both. I was 0 for 2. I can't lose, I said. Neither can I. It's a win for both of us. So much for the flashback. Roberto is still in trouble. Chapter 11. The Plan to Free Roberto. I came back to reality with a smile. Everything was a go. The streets were blocked, the lights were dimmed, air support was overhead. Among other objectives, air support was asked to shine its light on the windshield of the van Hernandez was riding in to obscure his vision. In the first van was the older Hernandez brother, who I hoped against hope would crack. He was cuffed, bruised, battered, and bleeding, but I didn't feel one bit sorry for the bastard. I did feel sorry for Roberto. The second van was gone, and these animals couldn't care less about human life. Their only concern was the almighty fucking American dollar. Most of that illegally earned money went across the fucking border. The rest went up to their collective noses. It was past time to fight them at their own game. Fuck them and the wetback fucking horse they crossed the border on. I keyed the mic. Baker to Charlie. Are we in position? Rocky responded immediately. Charlie to Baker. We're ready to roll, sir. Go for it, Charlie. Go for it. I heard the truck's engine, then a backfire, then the grinding of gears. It had been a while since Rocky climbed into the cab of a truck. Pushing a black and white around the streets was a lot easier than hauling a tractor and trailer. The truck bucked as it slowly moved forward. I observed a hand come out the window, then thumbs up. We were engaged. The van had a glassless window partition separating the rear of the van from the driver's area. The partition had a wooden slide. I slid it to the right, giving Hernandez a somewhat obstructed view of the truck. This was intentional. I pushed Hernandez's head against the open partition window. See anything you recognize, asshole? It was dark. The city workers had dimmed the streetlights. Hernandez blinked, trying to focus. Look up, asshole, at the top of the truck. Hernandez finally got the picture. That's my brother! My little brother! Good for you, asshole. Your wetback eyes are 20/20. I forced a smile, and was doing what I was doing because, in this case, the ends justified the means. That didn't mean I had to like it. In his case, I was enjoying my work immensely. Where's Roberto? I asked, as Hernandez's face turned bread white. I had him scared Caucasian. "What the fuck are you doing?" I was surprised at his clear English and his missing accent. "Here's the game, numbnut. That's your brother tied to the top of the truck, vertically. We are headed toward the Soto Street overpass. I figured 2 minutes should do it. 3 if we hit a red light or 2. The clearance of that overpass is just over 14 feet. That cross, with your brother tied to it, is damn near 20 feet. Do your math, asshole. Do it in English, wetback, but do it. Tell me where the fuck Roberto is, or your hermanos, or however the fuck you say it, dies a hard, horrible death. You're a cop. You wouldn't do it. You're bluffing," he said. Hernandez's eyes were locked on the top of the truck, to the cross, to his little brother, who was securely strapped to that cross. "I'm a police officer, wetback asshole. I will do it. I don't give a shit. Got it, moron? I'm not going to be able to live with myself if Roberto is harmed or killed. So your brother's life, whether he lives or dies, is in your Mexican hands." I heard the low-flying chopper overhead. That added to Hernandez's utter confusion. "Baker to Charlie, give me an ETA," I asked Rocky. The truck stopped at a red light. Hernandez could see his brother's shirt flopping around lazily in the light wind. He could see the large wooden cross secured to the base of the top of the truck. Attached to that cross was his brother. "We're rolling now. If we don't hit any more lights, ETA is about 1:30, Rocky said. "Hear that, asswipe? Your brother has 90 Mexican seconds of breath, unless you give up that address." As the truck picked up speed, the jeans, the shirt, the arms, the legs flailed in the breeze. Hernandez kept staring upward at the truck, at his brother. I said, 50 seconds, wetback. Give it up. The overpass was in view. The chopper was hovering between the overpass and our van. Hernandez knew he didn't have much time. "Tell him to stop! Tell him to stop!" he yelled. "Baker to Charlie, slow it down a bit, just a bit." I heard the gears grind as Rocky downshifted. "Give it up. Your brother's almost a dead man." Okay. It's 3344 and a half Kingston, Bell. It's the rear house." "Again," I said. "It's 3344 and a half Kingston in Bell, the rear house. Stop him! Stop him!" I keyed the mic. "Baker to Charlie, full throttle." I heard the gears grind again. Rocky shifted into a higher gear. There was no stopping him now. The cross and its companion slammed into the bridge. Body parts were scattered all over the street. Red stains were visible against the bridge abutment and on the street. Hernandez looked at me. You pig! You killed my brother!" I hit him as hard as I could in the ribs for Rolando. Then for Roberto, I kneed him in the balls. He went down hard. I got on my cell and called to the waiting special tactics team. I gave them the address. We waited. Back at the station. The older Hernandez brother sat in the interrogation room. Asshole sat on one side, his attorney sat across from him. Next to Hernandez's attorney sat the lieutenant, the assistant district attorney, Rocky, and me. "They killed my little brother. I gave them what they wanted and they killed him anyway. I want them arrested. You bastards. You sick bastards." Hernandez's attorney put his hand on Hernandez's shoulder. "We're going to take care of all of this, trust me." I laughed out loud. Rocky looked at me and started laughing. The attorney shook his head and waved his hand. "I don't see a damn thing funny. You're being accused of a serious crime. Premeditated murder. First of all, counselor, let's look at your upstanding client here. He's been dealing drugs for years. Because the old man is to go to trial, your upstanding client is a party to the kidnapping of a little boy. He turned some faggot loose on that child and threatens to let the faggot do his thing if we testify against the old man." And you want me to feel sorry for your client. The attorney looked me directly in the eye. You're alleging all this. I'm not alleging shit, counselor. I have all the evidence I need to put your asshole client away for life. Where and what is your proof? The attorney asked. Yeah, right. You'll have your shot at that when it's time for discovery. In the meantime, ask your coke-choked client what proof he has that we allegedly did his little brother. Fox looked at Hernandez, then nodded. Hernandez said, I saw the whole thing. They made me watch. They tied him to the top of a truck and ran the truck under an overpass that wasn't high enough for my brother to get under. Rocky looked the attorney in the eyes and said, Your client's brain is fried, counselor. He's been watching too many T.J. Hooker reruns. Hernandez jumped up. He moved toward me. I was out of my chair in less than a second and shoved him back down in his chair. See what I mean, counselor? He has no control. His brain is fried. If I were you, I'd cop a plea. Before Fox replied, the interrogation room door opened, and, accompanied by 2 uniformed officers, was a handcuffed, younger Hernandez.